Good morning or good afternoon or good evening or whatever it is in your neck of the woods. I just hope it's a good one. And as you can see, we're in the pumpkin patch and we're going to do some estimating weights on these pumpkins using the over-the-top method. And I'll explain that to you in a little bit. Now, we're going to use what they call the over-the-top measurements. And that's 3 measurements. Okay, one measurement is going to be the circumference of the pumpkin, and that is not tucked underneath, it's to the ground. So you're going to put your tape or whatever you're measuring with right to the ground, parallel with the pumpkin. Okay, and then on the other side the same thing. Then we're going to go around the circumference at the widest point, and then we're going to go on the stem end all the way to the ground, straight up past the stem, all the way down past the blossom end to the ground. Those 3 measurements we're going to need. So let's get cracking at it and get it done. I'm going to pull out a little bit more tape than I really need, just so I have some room and I don't want to damage the pumpkin at this point. Okay, so we're going to put this right down at the bottom, finger on it, go straight down across, mark it with my finger, bring it up. We have 1 foot 11 inches, so we have 23 inches here. Okay, now we're going to go from blossom to end. I think I'll tuck it up underneath here so we don't hurt this vine any. Okay, once again, all the way to the ground. Come straight down. And same measurement. Yeah, it looks kind of round as it is. So we got 23 inches. Okay. And now we're going to do a circumference. Try to get it about its widest point. Careful of that blossom end. You don't get it tucked up anything, it'll add inches to it. Its widest point. Bring it straight around. And we have 2 feet 8 inches. So we're going to take those measurements, add them together, and bring them to the chart, and we'll get an estimated how much this pumpkin weighs. Now this is the smaller of the 2 pumpkins. The other one over there is larger. I didn't want to get in around that one because that one's growing so well. I don't want to bother with it. There is one other thing. As you can see, as these pumpkins start to grow, the vine starts coming up off the ground. There's a good key point here. As you go along the undersides of your vine here, closest to the pumpkin, make sure there's no pressure there. If there's a root growing there on the vine, gently take a knife or snips from underneath and snip it. Do one at a time as the pressure comes up on your pumpkin. What you don't want it to do is start turning and start pinching anything. So as your pumpkin grows and it lifts up and goes forward, just snip your roots. It won't hurt the pumpkin at all, but leave them as long as possible because, you know, as much nourishment going in the pumpkin, it's going to grow as fast as it can. But as it's starting to grow, it'll actually reverse the kind of thing. It'll slow it down if it starts moving around and starts pinching vines here and there. All right, guys. Well, we got our totals and everything, and we're going to look them up on the chart. A couple other things I want to mention before we end this video here. As you saw earlier, I had a tarp up over an old tent piece actually, up over the pumpkins. It's to shade the pumpkins themselves, not the plant. Don't get me wrong here, but you must shade those pumpkins if you want to grow any size. What happens is, if the sun continues to bake on the pumpkins, the skin starts to get a little bit on the firm side. So as you add more water to it, especially if you get a few days of heavy rains or something, you're more apt to split the skin and your pumpkin's going to slowly start to rot on you. And while we're on the subject of water and stuff like that, growing these big pumpkins, you're a lot better off to give it regular treatments of water. Even if you have to haul a few buckets out or something each day, you're better off to give it a little bit of water each day than to try to keep it water every 2 or 3 days and keep it going like that. The more even you can keep that water going into the pumpkin, the faster and more even it'll grow without any splitting or anything. And the same way with food. I don't know exactly what you're feeding. I'm feeding exactly compost, period. It's a combination of rabbit, chicken, and cow manure composted together, and I put it on the vines here and there. I put it on a plant. I also planted it in the mound itself fairly deep, and I always keep a 5-gallon bucket nearby filled with water, and about 3/4 of that's filled with compost, and you make a basic compost tea, and you know what that's all about. I don't just use the water. I take it out as a muddy solution and drop it right up here and there and stuff. It does a couple things. It feeds the plant, plus it gives it some more comfort from the sun and keeping weeds down and whatnot. And at this stage, the weeds don't really make too much difference. You don't want anything, big bushes growing out or anything like that, but they're not too much in competition of it growing and whatnot. But at this stage, a pumpkin will grow fairly fast. You know, it's not unheard of to grow a few pounds each day, or 6 or 7 inches in circumference in a day. So this is why you got to keep that skin nice and supple, give it plenty of water. Other than that, guys, I can't think of anything else at this point. I'll try to get the estimated weights of these. They're not very big as far as giant pumpkins go and whatnot, but we're trying. We've got quite a few days left of growing season here, so as we get going on and on and on, I'll bring you more and more updates there. So we'll catch you guys all later. Hey, don't forget to subscribe, share, make comments down in the video. Let's get some chat going about this and whatnot, and we'll catch you on the next one.